Benjamin can have love for the truckie. Beautiful minds, but we love getting ugly. Risk takers with a clover, man, we love getting lucky. You run, we chase fire, I love when it ducks me. Tones go off, house watch, read the address out. 1075, get up off the magic couch. 500 gallons prepared for the baddest drought. Who else you want on the way when disaster's out? Can't even get a little bit rattled when you enter with exit apparel. Mayday, member down, they'll drag you. You won't get this from every Tom, Dick, and Harold, but here's a view from the top floor with Mickey Farrell.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of A View from the Top Floor. Today, I'm back on the streets of New York, just hanging out at a cafe, having a beer in the heat wave that we're having here in the Northeast. It's incredibly hot today. If you can tell by, if you're watching this, you can see that I'm literally sweating here talking to you. But there is a nice breeze, beautiful day. Figured I'd have a cold beer and record, So I did this 2 episodes ago, and I kind of got some good feedback. So I'm going to try to roll with this. I think I'm going to do this more often. I think it's a good thing, kind of that just... It's kind of raw, it's natural. I really don't know what I'm going to talk about, but something that sparked my interest during my run today, I was thinking about while I was running, was my posture while running and how it affects ultimately how long you can run, how you perform, and you can always tell an avid runner or professional runner by their posture. I think that transforms not only from every sporting event we have or every athlete that's on the highest level, falls back on their posture, but I think on the fireground, posture is something that we're not really teaching, and I don't even think it's developed over time. I think it's something that you have to be aware of. You have to really concentrate on and work on, because we put the gear on, and let's be honest, the gear kind of sucks. We put it on, it's not 3/4 boots, long coats, and lightweight leather helmets anymore. Like, we are bunkered up, and yes, it's very important we have our gear, but we have to wear our gear properly, and we're not wearing our gear properly. It affects ultimately how we perform through our posture. So when running, you're running and you want to have an erect back as you run. Your spine needs to be completely erect or straight up as you're running. And that allows you to get that float run, they call it, right? That like floating sensation. Same thing on the fireground though. When we get off the rig, we're loaded with all this weight, all this shit we have to put on us. You get the irons. You see guys throw the irons over their head, right? Sometimes they have it just hanging low. When you get off, you get those irons up under your arm high. Straighten your back, and you focus on the fire building. You're sizing up as you're going, but that's that professional posture, right? And again, that's something that we're not teaching in the Fire Academy. We're teaching all these things, and we're getting into the breath work, which is good. Breath work's incredibly important, and that kind of falls in line with the posture, or we're not talking about posture. I think we've all played Little League Baseball, most of us probably, at one point of our life. If not, we've all played some kind of organized sport where we go through the concept of how to swing the bat, right? So if you're talking about baseball posture or baseball batter stance, there's a way he presents himself as he walks into their batter's box, like a professional, right? Like he's ready for business. That's us getting off the rig. There's a sense of posture behind that. Now you enter that batter's box, there's a whole rhythm or a way he finds his flow. And I often talk about the flow state formula on the fireground and how important that is. And yes, every fire has a different tempo, a different cadence, ultimately equaling a rhythm together. But before we can dial in sometimes of what we have, what we're dealt with, the hand that we're playing, that posture will set that tempo right off the bat. Right when you get off that rig, you're setting your own internal tempo or that own internal flow state, which allows you to focus at the task at hand. And whatever that may be, from forcible entry, cutting the roof, right? It's all gaining position on the fire, but gaining that position comes to that batter stepping into the batter's box, right? Knees bent, elbow up, eye on the ball. Here comes the pitch. Now, if you break down the analysis of a batter swing, it's hips first, right? Then you swing and you follow through. But there's a whole sequential order of how you swing the bat. And when you watch a professional baseball player swing that bat, it's just smooth. And yes, when you break down the steps of knees bent, elbow up, hips first, eye on the ball, there's a sequential order behind that that equals posture, which ultimately equals professionalism. When you watch it, it just naturally happens. And that's where we have to be on the fireground. We have to get off the rig with the tools as an extension of our body. I think that's something that comes with time. But we have to focus on and identify that posture starts that fire or that even that run, that'll start that tempo, that internal flow state And then you dial it in once you figure out what you have, right? Once you realize where the fire is, you locate the fire. Maybe you come in and just smoke on the third floor, and you get off the rig with a sense of posture, professionalism, moving into position, and then they transmit the box. You have a working fire, third floor in the rear. You didn't see it on arrival, but you already had that internal tempo because of posture. Again, the gear we're wearing is so heavy. The tools are somewhat awkward until we understand truly how to carry them, that we have to concentrate of not being hunched over with all that weight. Walking up the stairs, it weighs us down, right? We're going up the stairs, we got the hook in the can. Now the hook all of a sudden kind of starts going upside down. We can't do that. We got to have that hook high, tucked back, can over your shoulder, and concentrate on your elbows being somewhat not passing your waist. That's how you get true posture, and that's true professionalism. So now when you're approaching that door, to force that door, that posture is already there, and then you transform or you translate that posture of how you got off the rig and you moved into position to how you attack that door. That's professional firefighting, not necessarily the paycheck, right? It's how we conduct ourselves. So important. We're not talking about it. We're not really teaching it. And, this just came in my mind today during my run today. Again, concentrating on my running, and I was like working on my posture during running. It was incredibly hot today. It was humid, and I was taxed during my run. So I had to dial it back and reevaluate or almost like refocus on my posture so I could breathe more clearly and think clearly. Same thing as the fireground. Like in the last time we did the street talk, I talked about breathing, talked about running, giving that mayday, but that all comes from the posture. Posture equals professionalism. And I'll leave it at that. But that's something that if you hear it, you get off the rig, try to concentrate on holding your tools the right way and how to walk up to a fire building with confidence. And when you have your chest out, it's not a matter of a type A personality. It's not a matter of ego. It's a matter of having your elbows behind your waist so your spine is erect so you can walk up with a sense of understanding, crystal clear view of what we have, and we're sizing up properly. Here's something beyond that. I'll probably circle back to the posture thing, but during the run, I went past one of these migrant shelters. We have them all over the city. And, with the lithium-ion battery thing, again, if you guys follow my stuff, I'm always talking about the batteries because it's very real. I mean, it's a huge, huge reality in my world of firefighting. Every run I go on, it's a potential lithium-ion battery fire. I worked last night. We had, oddly enough, I think we had 4 or 5 came in quote-unquote electrical fires. Now, that one time, electrical fire, kind of a nuisance run. Like, you go and do your thing, right? I mean, there's a little bit of fire, maybe there's a bay burning, but, it's not out the windows most times on electrical fire. So, not that you're laxed, but, you don't have that adrenaline rush of electrical fire. But now we have to understand when we have an electrical fire, there's a good chance, I'll say a good chance. I wouldn't say it's probably going to happen, but there's a chance that electrical fire very well could be a lithium-ion battery that was charging, that someone called and said the charger's on fire. The translation from the caller to the dispatcher to actually turning out the companies could be translated from whatever the caller said regarding a charger plugged into a wall all the way down to the companies leaving quarters to electrical fire. Now, all the runs I went on last night that were electrical fires, they were electrical fires. It is what it is. Sometimes you just have that oddball night where we had a few of those same fires in the one night. But every run I went on, I was thinking about and sizing up that we could turn the corner and we could have heavy fire at multiple windows because that electrical fire could possibly now trigger thermal runaway if it's a lithium-ion battery charging, and now that device fails. It explodes, failing the windows and having heavy fire out the windows. So that's something that's very real. But during my run, going back to the migrant shelter, I ran by it, and it's right by the firehouse. And oddly enough, we don't really go there much for anything. I think they're scared to call the fire department for anything. I do know they cut out most of the fire alarms out of there. But what I did notice, there was probably 50 e-bikes outside chained up, from scooters to bicycles, to everything possibly that is run by a lithium-ion battery for transportation in New York City, because the city of New York is giving these migrants these bikes to get around. They're giving it to them. So it's a free ride. They're all chained up outside this building, and out of 50 bikes, none of them had a battery on the bike. So where are those batteries being charged? They're being charged inside that building. So keep in mind now that when we're going to these runs, especially if you have a shelter with bikes outside or any building, when you have an e-bike, an e-scooter, an e-motorcycle that's parked outside, that may be chained up to a fence or whatnot, that battery is inside charging. So when you're sizing up as you go in, right, sizing up on the fly, take note, okay? I have 10 bikes right here and none of them have batteries. Those batteries are inside. So that's just something to think about during our size up. And again, size up on the fly, I've always said, is something that it's developed over time, not necessarily taught, but I've kind of debunked that in my own understanding or just my own studies. I read this book that talked about how the retina is a part of your brain and not necessarily the way you see things, right? You can learn how you see things differently. So you may see a building differently and you may have 1 year in the job, and the senior officer with 35, 40 years in the job may see that building another way. But there's no right or wrong. And that's the thing. As a young fireman, make sure if you see something, you say something. They always say that, right? But there's a lot of truth to that because the science backing the fact that we see things differently because we learn to see things differently. It's not really experience that tells you to look things differently, if that makes sense. Experience will allow you to look at details, to slow down and analyze. But even with that, our brains are looking at different situations or looking at the same situations differently, I should say. But moving on to a different topic. Hot topic right now is assignments. And this goes across the board from every city in the world, every town in the world. Everybody who has this dream firehouse of what that may be. And that's different for every firefighter that's a young, aspiring firefighter in the academy. They have what they deem to be the best firehouse in the world in their mind. And everyone's telling them they're going to get to that firehouse. Hey, bro, I got a hook. I got this. I got juice. My uncle's this. My grandfather's that. My father knows this guy. Your dad knows that one. When it's all said and done, it's all bullshit. I'm telling you right now. It doesn't matter who you know. You end up where you're supposed to end up, and that's the bottom line. We want guys looking out for one another, obviously, but when it's all said and done, it's bullshit. So when you get your assignment, and it's not the firehouse you thought you were going to, the firehouse that you told your friends you were going to, the firehouse you laid in bed and dreamed about being in, and it's someplace that's completely different, it's okay. Because there's a reason why you're there. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason within the fire service on that level. Now, on the fire floor, this job is a matter of lefts and rights, right? I go left, I go right. If I go right, maybe if I went left, things should be different. It's a matter of left and rights on the fire floor. I truly believe, though, when we're in the firehouse world, everything is there for a reason. Everything is meant to happen for a reason. You end up where you're supposed to be. Good guys gravitate to great places, and shitbags gravitate to shit places. And it all equals out in the end. And as far as fires, if you're working in a place and your mutual partner or the guy in a different shift from you is catching all the work and you're missing everything, I promise you it's okay. Because in the end, it all equals out. I promise you it all equals out. But that said, if you get the assignment, and if any of you are in the Fire Academy now listening, I would say probably more than 60% of you are going to end up where you don't want to be. That's okay. Treat that firehouse like it's the greatest firehouse on earth. Because it is for that moment. That's your firehouse. You go out the door, you'll die for that firehouse. And those brothers will die for you. Understand that. And it can be the slowest firehouse in the entire city. September 11th is a great example. Some of those guys that morning that perished when we were attacked, it was their first tour. Maybe in a firehouse they didn't want to be in. However, they went out that door like they go out in any busy neighborhood, and maybe a slow engine, a slow truck, thinking you'll never go to a fire in your entire career in these firehouses, and that was your first fire, right? So it's very real. And with that being said, cherish the moment of every place you're at and learn from the guys that were there before you. I'll be brutally honest with you. When I got my assignment, I was devastated. It's not where I wanted to be. However, the time I spent there was the most influential time in my entire career. And I look back over 20 years later on those few years that I spent in that firehouse, and I learned more in a couple years than I had in probably 10, 15 years of what it means to be a true brother, to cry with brothers, to smile and laugh with friends, friends that I hold dearly to this day. And again, I got the assignment and I had tears in my eyes because I was so upset. I thought I was going to the slashing company. It's not where I ended up, but I ended up where I was supposed to be. And again, I did the right thing. I treated that place like it was the best firehouse in the city, because it was, because I was there. And I was going to bring my best to that firehouse. And that was so important to me. And when I got there, the guys were so grateful that I was there. And they were so grateful that I was into the job, and I wanted to learn. And they took the time to teach me. So when you get your assignment and you realize, wow, this isn't what I expected. What the hell happened? I promise you, in the end, it's going to work out. It's meant to be. The fire floor, that's where you prove yourself. You let your tools do your talking. You go to that firehouse with humility, with honor and respect of what the brothers have done before you, long before you. And on the flip side, if you get that assignment and you hit the lotto, you're like, holy shit, I didn't plan on going to this place. That was my dream place. I put it on my wish list and I got it. Well, you know what? Good for you. But don't ride the coattails of the brothers and sisters that came long, long before you, because they set the standard, and now it's your job to keep the standard alive. It's very important, and I'm seeing us lose that, not only within my department, but on a national level. I see that you get the patch, you get the company, the t-shirt, and then you get the attitude. But the attitude doesn't really translate to the performance. All right? So I know I was all over the place in this episode, but that's what I kind of want to do. Whatever's on my mind, man. I'm always thinking, unfortunately, I never turn this job off. And I guess it's been a detriment to probably my life in the long run. But there I am. I'm giving it to you guys now. But appreciate you the support. Again, with Instagram, the algorithm, I don't know what they did. I'm not complaining because it's free. However, it is very discouraging when I put hours and years and just time away from my family to put out a post, and I try to do it as much as I can because I have so many journals that I've kept over the years that I keep referring back to. I make a post, I go to post it, and it goes absolutely nowhere. It just dies in the water. It's about fire porn. So if you're posting videos and you see fire porn, that's what people want. Nobody wants true content anymore, I feel like. It just, the world we live in. Everyone swipe likes. And if it's not like a fire porn right off the bat, fire blowing out windows, good music, you lose half the followers, or you lose half the likes. And I'm not about the likes, but the likes lets me gauge if I'm hitting the right dials of what I'm trying to bring to you, of what you guys want to see. So I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to see. You like the quizzes, if you like the interviews, if you like when I go tactical stuff, mindset stuff, flow state stuff. I do all these things, and I'm trying to figure out what you like. So I try to mix it up. I'll do one post one way. The next post is pretty basic. The next post a little more in depth. I don't know. Maybe I overthink it, but Instagram has been very good to me. I'm not complaining about an algorithm. It just, they tweak something, and I'm really getting no exposure. And not that I need exposure per se, but I wanted to get my message, my love for this job, my respect for the job, my respect for you guys that are doing the job and that are turning out and listening to me and supporting me. I want to get the information to you, but for whatever reason, it's not getting there. So again, I said it 2 weeks ago in the episode, but if you're following me and you're not seeing my stuff as often as you should, I am still posting every day. I took a couple of days off because I'm trying to maybe reset things, but I don't know if that works or not. I'm going to try doing this every couple episodes just to be honest and be raw and just bullshit with you guys, because I don't know, man. That podcast shit that I was trying earlier, trying to be all serious, like Howard Stern or something, I don't know, but just not me. I like to just treat it like the kitchen table maybe and just kind of talk. It is still weird talking to myself, but whatever, man. What's on my mind? So, recap, dudes. Posture, very important. Work on your posture. When you get off the rig, have those irons tucked up tight, hook and can, over your shoulder, elbows back. When you're walking with your chest out, a little bit of a pride for your company, but it sets you up for success when you go and you have to force that door. right? When you go to break those irons, it comes off out of your arms and you're breaking the irons. Your posture is already set to defeat the obstacle. On the roof, you get off the roof, take that tactical breath, right? Reset. And then you walk into position. You do what you have to do with a sense of pride and posture. Again, everything we do, posture. Lithium-ion batteries, it's not going away. And with this heat wave, as I'm sitting here sweating, and you can see in the video if you're watching, temperatures rise, the temperature of batteries rise. I actually had to cut this video and redo it because my computer was about to explode in front of me. Everything started slowing down and stopping. But yeah, it's doing it again. So if you're watching it, it kind of maybe screw you right now. And again, your assignment. It doesn't matter where you work, what city, what town, what job you're on. If you're in a place that you don't want to be in, change that. But by changing it, you change from within. You do the right thing in the firehouse. You treat that place with respect. You never talk bad about a place you don't want to be in. Upcoming events. My next event is in Mobile, Alabama. I'm doing lithium-ion battery fires. Great group of guys down there. That's a free event. It's on my website. Check it out if you're interested. If you're in the Alabama, North Florida area, it's well worth the ride because not only is I feel the class is very good in the sense of what I'm providing you. It's free, and those guys know how to party. They show you a good time. Every time I'm in Southern Alabama, it is off the charts. Just great guys. They have a great culture down there. So, nothing to do. Mid-August, August 14th, I'll be in Mobile. All right, guys? Talk to you soon. Mickey Fowl, you from the top floor.